All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive deep, and I mean really deep, into the incredible invisible forces that are constantly, and I mean right now, shaping the very ground beneath our feet.
Have you ever really stopped to think about it? Why does the ground, which feels so solid, suddenly start to shake violently? Or how do these absolutely colossal mountains get pushed up towards the sky? It all might seem totally random, but what if I told you it's not? What if there's one single, massive explanation that connects both of those things?
Okay, so take a look at this. If we map out where all the earthquakes happen around the world, you notice something right away. They're not just scattered randomly, are they? No way. They form these really clear, distinct lines, almost like stitches holding the planet together. Now that's not a coincidence. That right there, that's our first big clue. And here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the world's giant mountain ranges. The Andes, the Himalayas. They form similar belts, don't they? It's like these two huge things, earthquakes and mountains, are both pointing to the exact same hidden story. So these patterns, these clues, this is where we start our investigation. Because what we're seeing on the surface is just the evidence of something way bigger, way more powerful, happening deep, deep inside the Earth.
All right, to really get what's going on up here, we've got to go down there, way down. We're going to take a journey to the very center of the Earth.
So check this out. This gives you a perfect cross-section. See, our planet isn't just one solid ball of rock. It's actually made of these huge layers, or shells, one inside the other, kind of like a giant onion, really. And every single one of these layers has a crucial job to do.
So let's peel back those layers. Right at the very center, you've got the inner core. It's a solid ball of iron and it is blazing hot. We're talking over 7,000 degrees Celsius. Just wow. Wrapped around that is the outer core, which is also iron, but it's so hot it's liquid. Then you get to the mantle. This is a massive layer of super hot rock that's not quite liquid, but it's not totally solid either. It sort of flows and churns, but incredibly slowly, over millions of years. And then finally, on the very outside, you have the crust. That's the thin, cool, rocky shell that we live on.
Okay, so this is the key to everything. That incredible heat boiling up from the core, it acts like a giant engine. It gets the rock in the mantle moving, creating these huge, slow-motion currents that are constantly churning away right under our feet. And that movement, that is the power source. It's what drives everything we see on the surface. So you've got this giant churning engine down below. How does that affect the crust we're all standing on? Well, here's the twist. The crust isn't one solid piece. Nope, not at all. It's actually fractured into these enormous slabs of rock that we call tectonic plates. The best way to think about it is like a giant cracked eggshell or a set of puzzle pieces. And all these massive pieces are just kind of floating around, drifting incredibly slowly on top of that gooey, churning mantle. So, okay, what happens when these things move? These are colossal plates carrying entire continents, entire oceans. What happens when they smash into each other? Well, that's what we call a convergent boundary. And believe me, it is a place of unbelievable power. When you have a head-on collision like this, well, something's got to give, right? They can't just stop. So usually, the heavier, denser plate gets forced to dive down underneath the other one. We call that process subduction. And all that pressure, all that grinding and scraping, that is exactly what crumples up the crust and pushes massive mountain ranges up toward the sky. But it's not all about collisions. Plates can also move in the opposite direction. They can pull apart. And when that happens, we call it a divergent boundary. It's literally where two plates are just slowly drifting away from one another. And as you can imagine, when they pull apart, a huge gap opens up. What fills it? Well, molten rock, magma, from the mantle below, bubbles up, fills that gap, and then cools down to form brand new crust. This is literally how new parts of our planet are born. It's happening all the time, especially on the ocean floor, like along the famous Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And then there's the third type, transform boundaries. This is where the plates aren't crashing or separating, they're just sliding past each other, scraping along sideways. And you can just imagine the immense friction, the stress that builds up as these gigantic rock slabs grind against each other. All that energy just gets stored up, waiting to be released. Okay, so let's recap. We've got these giant plates all over the world,
and they're either colliding, pulling apart, or grinding sideways. Now, let's connect that back to those clues we found at the very beginning of our investigation.
You remember this map, right? All those earthquake zones forming those strange belts across the planet, the ones that seemed so mysterious? Okay, hold that image in your head. Because now look at this one. This is a map of those tectonic plates we were just talking about. See it? It's a perfect match. Those earthquake zones line up exactly with the edges, the boundaries where these plates are meeting and grinding against each other. It's not a mystery at all. The shaking ground is literally the plates jostling for position. So just how often is this happening? Get ready for this number, 1.3 million. That is the estimated number of earthquakes that happen every single year. Now, most of them are tiny, way too small for us to even feel. But it's a constant reminder that our planet isn't static. It's alive. It is always on the move.
And all this activity creates some pretty incredible things. Here's a fun fact for you. Everyone knows Mount Everest is the highest mountain, right? Its peak is higher above sea level than any other point on Earth. But is it the tallest? Well, if you measure a mountain from its true base all the way to its peak, the winner is actually Mauna Kea in Hawaii. It's a massive volcano, and its base starts way down on the deep ocean floor, making it technically taller than Everest.
So, what does this all mean? It leads to this one pretty mind-blowing conclusion. The forces that push up mountains and cause the ground to shake, they're not just some ancient history. They're not over. Our world is actively being built and rebuilt right now, as we're sitting here. And these processes, they have been going on for a length of time that's it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Just think about this number for a second. 4 billion. 4 billion years. That's about how old the oldest known rocks on our planet's crust are. For 4 billion years, these giant plates have been drifting, smashing, and pulling apart, constantly remaking the face of our world. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. We're all just living on this thin, kind of fragile crust, floating on top of a powerful, dynamic planet. The movement of these plates has shaped everything about our past, from where the continents are to where life evolved. So it really only leaves us with one last big question. How are they going to shape our future?